Everybody, this is Dream. We have another messy NBA slate. Lots of injuries today, lots of value options available. We have one team that has a bunch of guys out. We have a couple other teams with a few guys out, lots of questionable tags today as well. With that said, before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really helps the channel out. Let's go ahead and get into the injury report. For the Pistons, Wiseman is questionable, Durant is questionable, Livers is questionable. Cunningham, Bogdanovich, Stewart, and Bagley and Diallo are out, and then Ivy and Burks are doubtful. For the Wizards, Kuzma is questionable. For the Cavs, Allen is out. For the Hornets, Mark Williams and Ball are out. For the Nuggets, Murray is questionable. For the Lakers, LeBron and Bamba are out. Excuse me. For the Pelicans, Ingram is questionable, and Zion and Alvarado are out. For the Nets, Simmons is out. For the Thunder, Kenrich Williams is out. For the Magic, Isaac is out, and Franz Wagner is questionable. For the Spurs, Keldon Johnson and So Chan are both out. They're both questionable. And then Jones and Branham are out. For the Bucks, Middleton is doubtful and Lopez is questionable. For the Suns, Shamet and Durant are out. For the Knicks, Brunson is questionable. And for the Trailblazers, Lillard and Grant are questionable and Winslow is out. So my picks for the games are the Knicks over Portland, the Suns over the Bucks, Orlando over the Spurs, the Pelicans over the Lakers, the Thunder over the Nets, Denver over Toronto, Washington over Detroit, and Cleveland over Charlotte. So with that said, let's get into my top picks today. We're going to start with Shai Alexander here. Now, Shai, he doesn't play every game now because he's being reduced a little bit, but he's still playing a full complement of minutes when he does play, and he's getting big-time scoring game to game, and with his price coming down some, being under 10,000, he becomes a near must play on these type of slates because he just has too much potential and upside. He has 50, 60 fantasy point games at times. He's just underpriced. I know that his price has been reduced because they figure his minutes are gonna because he's being rested more, but he's still playing a crazy amount of good when he does play. So I think he's in a great spot today against Brooklyn, and he's a good play to use. Then we'll look at Bradley Beal for the Wizards. He's been playing extremely well lately. His last game was his one bad game kind of recent, but that was against a tough Philly team. This is a much easier opponent, and he's played really well. And with Kuzma potentially out here, his usage would also go up, which would give him even more upside in this matchup. Evan Mobley also looks pretty interesting today for Cleveland. He's played pretty solid when Allen has been out before, so his usage should rise as a result of that injury. I expect Allen being out will give him more upside in this matchup. The same can be said for Darius Garland. He should get a little bit of a boost with the Allen out as well. He's played pretty well lately, and his price has come down a lot, which is nice. He's been pretty good, and so I think he's in a great spot here and a nice plus matchup. Mikal Bridges also looks interesting today for Brooklyn against the Thunder. He's been pretty streaky, but he has some nice upside here and a good matchup, and so I do think he has some utility here. Though I don't think he's as good as an option as Garland or Mobley or Beal, but he does have some potential. Spencer Dinwiddie is probably actually my favorite play from Brooklyn. He has big time upside. He's played really well lately. In 3 of the last 4 games, he's been over 50 fantasy points, and he's doing really well, and his price really hasn't come up yet. Then we'll look at Markelle Fultz for Orlando, who is somewhat streaky, but he does play over 30 minutes most of the time, and he has been having some really good games lately, and I do feel like he's priced pretty fairly. He's a good mid-range option. Then we'll look at Nick Richards for Charlotte. Now, he's de facto starter center for them now, and he's been playing over 30 minutes a game the last 3 games since Mark Williams got hurt. And he's gotten close to a double-double in all 3 games. And he does get blocks as well. He's a big, tall 7-footer who has nice length and stuff like that. So he typically gets some blocks. Think of like your poor man's Isaiah Jackson, so to speak. But he actually can rebound and score points as well. Pretty good. So and he has a little bit of range. So I think he's in a good spot here. His price has come up, though. So that is a concern. But he does have upside, especially with Allen being out for Charlotte. He should have some more potential in this matchup, and he definitely has some good upside here in a game that should be, a lot of jump shots and stuff. So then we're going to look at Devontae Graham for San Antonio. He's got a good matchup against Orlando. He's been playing better with all the guys out for the Spurs and potentially more guys out. He should start again, but do make sure he starts here. He'll become a great play if he does draw the start. Then we'll look at Denny Avdija, and he's very dependent on if Kuzma's out. But if Kuzma's out, he will become a must-play on the slate. He has big-time upside whenever he does draw a start when somebody's out, and so I look for him to be a great option on the slate. Then we're going to look at Eugene Amorari. Sorry for butchering your name. In the last game he started for the first time, he had 34 fantasy points. I'm not saying that he's going to redo that, but if he does draw the start, he is somebody that has some upside. But he is a little bit risky, but he's had 4 straight games, so he's pretty good. He's on another 10-game contract with the Pistons, so he looks like he's in a pretty good opportunity here to continue to start, especially with so many guys potentially out there. And then finally, Rodney Magruder for Detroit as well. He has some nice upside here. He's played pretty solid lately, and I think he will continue to play well. If he can draw the start here, he becomes a good play. Obviously, I don't really like him if he doesn't start, but if he does start, he'll be somebody to take a look at. So, with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. Obviously, there's lots of injuries and stuff to wait on, so, but at this point in time, I think it's going to be a pretty solid slate, despite the fact it's kind of crazy. But I do think it's smart to tread lightly when these slates with so many injuries, so just keep that in mind. With that said, have a nice day, guys.